Have you ever wondered what shapes our conscience, the inner compass that guides our moral decisions and actions? This question often leaves us pondering our own moral fabric, the invisible threads that weave our ethical decisions and actions together. To help us unravel this complex tapestry, we introduce the concept of the Triad of Conscience, a framework encompassing three fundamental pillars: faith, compassion, and right action. These pillars, intertwined in a dance of mutual influence and support, form the foundation of our moral conscience. The first pillar, faith, represents our spiritual beliefs, the guiding star that lights our path. It's not just about religious faith, but also about the beliefs and values we hold dear. These beliefs often shape our moral compass and provide us with a sense of purpose and direction. The second pillar, compassion, stands for our empathetic understanding of others. It's about recognizing the humanity in others, feeling their joy and pain as our own, and responding with kindness and care. Compassion softens our hearts and opens our eyes to the suffering of others, prompting us to act. The third pillar, right action, embodies our ethical behavior. It's about making decisions and taking actions that are not only beneficial for us, but also for others. Right action is the manifestation of our moral conscience in the real world. It's how we translate our faith and compassion into tangible actions that make a difference. Together, these three pillars form the Triad of Conscience. But this triad is more than just a combination of separate elements. It's a dynamic interplay of these components that constantly shapes and reshapes our moral conscience. It's not just about having an inner sense of right and wrong, but about nurturing a conscience that is guided by spiritual belief, empathetic understanding, and ethical behavior. As we delve deeper, we will unravel the intricate relationships within this Triad of Conscience. We'll explore how these three pillars coexist, reinforce each other, cause one another, and harmoniously lead to the formation and function of our moral conscience. So, let's embark on this journey of understanding and discover the profound influence of the Triad of Conscience on our lives. The Triad of Conscience is a system of coexistence where each component complements and reinforces the others. Immersing ourselves into this triad, we begin with the relationship between faith and compassion. Faith, in its essence, often imparts the value of compassion, shaping our inner moral compass to be sensitive to the sufferings of others. It's like a guiding light, illuminating the path of empathy and understanding. In turn, acts of compassion can deepen and affirm one's faith. When we extend our helping hand, our heart aligns with the moral teachings of our faith, creating a beautiful cycle of spiritual growth. Next, we delve into the connection between compassion and right action. These two are like two sides of the same coin. Compassion, as an empathetic response to the suffering of others, naturally paves the way to ethical decisions and behaviors, which we term as right action. When our actions are aligned with compassion, it strengthens the moral conscience, making it more attuned and responsive, almost like fine-tuning a musical instrument to play the most harmonious melodies. Lastly, let's explore the link between faith and right action. Faith provides the moral framework that guides our ethical behavior. It's like the blueprint for our actions, providing clear guidelines on what is right and wrong. When we adhere to this framework through right actions, it reinforces our conscience, making it more robust and aligned with our spiritual beliefs. So you see, faith, compassion, and right action are not isolated entities, but exist in a state of mutual coexistence. Each influences and is influenced by the other, forming a triad that is dynamic and interconnected. This interplay, like a beautifully choreographed dance, creates a dynamic and robust conscience capable of guiding us in our life's journey. It's a fascinating system, isn't it? A system where faith teaches compassion, compassion inspires right action, and right actions affirm our faith in a ceaseless cycle of moral and spiritual development. This is the Triad of Conscience in action, a harmonious blend of faith, compassion, and right action, working together to shape our moral and ethical selves. This interplay creates a dynamic and robust conscience, capable of guiding us in our life's journey. The Triad of Conscience is not just about coexistence, but also about reinforcement. This means that each element within this triad not only coexists with the others, but also strengthens them in a cyclical manner. Let's delve into how this reinforcement cycle works. Firstly, we have faith reinforcing compassion. Faith is often imbued with teachings and parables that underline the importance of empathy and caring for others. These teachings shape our conscience, making it more sensitive and attuned to the needs and sufferings of others. The more we internalize and practice these teachings, the more we nurture our capacity for compassion. Next, we see how compassion leads to right action. Compassion, in its very essence, is an empathetic response to the suffering of others. This empathy naturally propels us towards making decisions and taking actions that are ethical and considerate of others' well-being. The more compassionate we are, the more likely we are to choose right action, further honing our moral conscience. Finally, right action reinforces faith. When our actions align with the moral teachings of our faith, it validates and strengthens our spiritual beliefs. This in turn makes our conscience more robust and aligned with these beliefs. So you see, it's an ongoing cycle. Faith reinforces compassion, compassion leads to right action, and right action reinforces faith. Each turn of this cycle strengthens and shapes our conscience, making it more responsive and attuned to moral decision-making. But this is not a one-and-done process. Like a muscle, our conscience needs continuous exercise to remain strong and effective. Each time we navigate this cycle, we are essentially working out our conscience, making it more robust and better equipped to guide us in our everyday lives. In essence, the Triad of Conscience presents us with a powerful framework for moral development. By understanding and nurturing the reinforcement cycle within this triad, we can cultivate a conscience that is not only sensitive to the needs and sufferings of others, but also capable of making ethical decisions that align with our spiritual beliefs. With every turn of this cycle, our conscience becomes more attuned to making moral decisions and actions. The components of the Triad of Conscience are not just interconnected, they are causally linked. This statement underscores the profound chain of influence that exists within the triad of faith, compassion, and right action. Let's begin with the first causal relationship. Faith causing compassion. Faith as a moral compass often emphasizes the importance of empathy and caring for others. This focus on empathy nurtures compassion within an individual. When we believe in a higher power or a set of ethical principles, we are encouraged to empathize with other beings. This empathy, born from faith, fuels compassion, shaping our conscience to be more sensitive, more understanding, and more attuned to the needs and sufferings of others. Next, we move on to compassion-causing right action. Compassion, in its essence, is an empathetic response to the suffering of others. It's a profound understanding of another's pain and a desire to alleviate it. This empathetic understanding naturally leads to ethical decisions and behaviors, or what we term as right action. When our conscience is informed by compassion, we are more likely to act ethically, to make decisions that alleviate suffering and promote well-being. However, the absence of faith could potentially lead to a lack of right action. This is not to say that faith is the sole determinant of ethical behavior. However, faith does provide a moral framework that guides our actions. Without this framework, the conscience may be less active or less ethical. It may lack the guidance needed to discern right from wrong, to choose actions that align with empathy and compassion. These causal relationships within the Triad of Conscience, faith causing compassion, compassion leading to right action, and the potential for a lack of faith to result in a lack of right action shape the formation and functioning of our conscience. They demonstrate how each component of the triad influences the others, how they are intertwined in a dynamic interplay of spiritual belief, empathetic understanding, and ethical behavior. These causal relationships demonstrate how integral each component is to the functioning of our conscience. As we delve deeper into the Triad of Conscience, we begin to see the profound influence of faith, compassion, and right action in shaping our moral selves. The Triad of Conscience is not just interconnected and causally linked, it is harmonious. This harmony is a beautiful dance between faith, compassion, and right action, each part contributing to a well-rounded and effective conscience. Let's begin with how faith and compassion harmoniously lead to right action. Picture this. Faith is like the roots of a tree, grounding us in our values and beliefs. Compassion is the trunk, connecting the roots to the branches, translating our beliefs into an empathetic understanding of the world. Right action, then, is the fruit of this tree. It's the tangible, visible result of our faith and compassion. When we're grounded in our faith and informed by compassion, we naturally gravitate towards ethical actions. It's as if the fruits of right action simply grow from the tree of our conscience, nurtured by the roots of faith and the trunk of compassion. Now consider how faith and right action strengthen compassion. Faith provides us with a moral compass, guiding us towards actions that are in line with our beliefs. When we act according to these beliefs, we are often called to understand and empathize with others. This empathy, this compassion is like a muscle that gets stronger with every act of understanding and kindness. So, in this way, the practice of faith and right action fortify our compassion. Finally, let's turn to how compassion and right action reinforce faith. When we act with compassion, when we make ethical decisions that alleviate suffering and promote well-being, we are living out the teachings of our faith. These actions affirm our beliefs, they resonate with our faith, and so, our faith deepens, becoming more robust and more real. In essence, this harmony within the Triad of Conscience is a feedback loop, a cycle of reinforcement and growth. Each component, faith, compassion, right action, strengthens the others, creating a conscience that is robust, responsive, and effective. This harmony allows our conscience to function effectively, guiding us towards moral decisions and actions. This is the beauty of the Triad of Conscience, a harmonious interplay of faith, compassion, and right action that guides us on our moral journey. The Triad of Conscience is a powerful framework that illustrates the development and functioning of our conscience. This framework, composed of faith, compassion, and right action, provides a comprehensive understanding of how our conscience evolves and operates. In the realm of coexistence, faith and compassion share a reciprocal relationship, each enriching and sustaining the other. Similarly, compassion and right action are interdependent, with acts of empathy naturally leading to ethical decisions. Faith and right action also share a link, as faith provides the moral guidelines that steer our actions. The triad also portrays a cycle of reinforcement. Faith underscores compassion by instilling teachings that emphasize empathy. Compassion in turn guides us towards right action, steering our conscience towards decisions that regard the welfare of others. Right action then reinforces faith, aligning our actions with our spiritual beliefs and strengthening our moral compass. When we examine the causal relationships within the triad, we find that faith can often nurture compassion, fostering a conscience that is deeply empathetic. This compassion then incites right action, guiding us to alleviate suffering and promote well-being. However, the absence of faith may lead to a lack of right action, as the moral guidance faith provides is missing. Finally, the triad works in harmony. A combination of faith and compassion naturally leads to right action, as a conscience informed by both gravitates towards ethical decisions. The practice of faith alongside right action strengthens compassion, as our understanding and empathy grow through ethical actions. Furthermore, compassion and right action reinforce faith, affirming and deepening our spiritual beliefs through our ethical and compassionate actions. In essence, the Triad of Conscience is a dynamic interplay of spiritual belief, empathetic understanding, and ethical behavior. Each element is interlinked, reinforcing and being reinforced by the others, creating a conscience that is robust, sensitive, and morally guided. Understanding this triad allows us to better understand our conscience, guiding us to lead more ethical and fulfilling lives. Understanding the Triad of Conscience is not just about understanding how our conscience works. It's about understanding ourselves. As we delve into the depths of our conscience, we begin to see the intricate relationship between faith, compassion, and right action. This triad is not merely theoretical, but is a mirror reflecting who we are and who we aspire to be. Consider your own faith. It might be religious or spiritual, philosophical or humanistic. Regardless of its shape or form, it guides your moral compass, teaching you the value of empathy and compassion. Your faith is the bedrock of your conscience, providing a moral framework that informs your actions and decisions. Now ponder your compassion. This is your empathetic response to the world around you, your sensitivity to the needs and sufferings of others. Compassion is the fuel that drives ethical behavior, that compels you to act in ways that are considerate of others' well-being. It's the soft whisper of your conscience that urges you to choose kindness over indifference, love over apathy, and finally reflect on your right actions. These are the ethical decisions and behaviors that are in alignment with your faith and compassion. Your right actions are the tangible expressions of your conscience, the outward manifestations of your inner moral compass. They reinforce your faith, affirm your compassion, and shape your conscience to be more attuned and responsive. By understanding and nurturing each component of this triad, you embark on a journey of personal growth and ethical living. You cultivate a conscience that is robust and effective, one that guides you towards kindness, empathy, and ethical action. You develop a deeper sense of self, a stronger connection with others, and a greater alignment with your moral values. So, as we conclude this exploration of the Triad of Conscience, let's remember to reflect, to question, and to grow. Let's strive to nurture our faith, to deepen our compassion, and to act rightly. Remember, the Triad of Conscience is not just a theoretical framework, it's a practical guide to developing a robust and effective conscience.